Welcome, everybody, to Survive in Advance on the Gruely True Sports Network. I'm your co-host for Survive in Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my other co-host, 1981 national champion, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Peachy keen today, Mike. It's actually going to rain out here in L.A. It's a beautiful day. We actually look at rain out here as a great thing because we don't get a lot of. We had a little minor earthquake out here yesterday. Kind of for the first time, I actually felt my house shake a little bit, which was kind of cool. Scary, but cool. I'm sure the people that live out here for a long time don't think it's cool, but I actually felt it for the first time yesterday. It was wow. It happened so quick. Boom! It's over and done with.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it was. Well, it's not cool because it can create tremendous amount of damage and death and destruction. But it's my first experience with an earthquake.
Okay, that's an awesome
minor
story
one.
To start the show.
3.8, I think. 3.8 down around Yoma Linda or something like that. But we felt it up here in the valley. So.
All right, we'll start off the show with your favorite person, Roger Goodell, who yesterday addressed the controversy in the Saints-Rams NFC Championship game by saying, "We understand the frustration of the fans. I've talked to Coach Payton, the players, the team. We understand the frustration that they feel right now, and we certainly want to address that." Now, the only problem with that is the Saints say that Goodell was lying and never talked to them. Could you imagine Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, telling a lie, Steve?
Mike, what I've learned over the course of time is there are always three sides to every story. There's your side, there's my side, and somewhere in the middle lies the truth. To say the fact that maybe Roger Goodell didn't directly call Sean McVay, or Sean Payton, I'm sorry, too many Sean's in this thing right now, Sean Payton or the Benson family that owns the team, maybe not. But I'm sure there was correspondence from the commissioner's office that went to them and discussed it in some direct or indirect fashion. But, Goodell speaks for the NFL, so he's all-encompassing at that point in time. And for them to say, well, Roger didn't call me and kiss up to me and tell me we screwed up royally is a lot of sour grapes
Sean
there.
Payton said that immediately after the game. Payton said that he heard from the league, which admitted the refs had blown the call. But there was no call. I mean, Goodell didn't talk to the team, unless Goodell is saying that he talked to the team because he talked to Sean Payton. And Goodell said that he didn't make a comment for the last week and a half because Sean Payton had already said that the NFL said they'd blown the call. So that's his excuse.
Okay, well, so who doesn't know that? Who are we surprising today by saying that the NFL blew the call? Really, who has not figured that out yet?
Yeah, but I think the problem is you get an owner or the commissioner of the league who does not address it until a week and a half later.
But isn't that the NFL's mode of operandi? Don't they always just hope to God that it just all blows over and they let it all kind of – maybe it's smart, Sometimes it's smart to keep your mouth shut and let people think you're an idiot than to open your mouth and prove it. Maybe they're just sitting back and saying, we're just going to let this calm down a little bit, and then we'll figure it out. We'll have a strategy. We'll talk to owners. We'll see what direction we want to go with instant replay, with Colin Kaepernick, with expansion in London, with expansion in China. And let's just be smart about how we respond to this and not just knee-jerk something out right away and piss on our referees, piss on the game. I don't get it. What do you want? You're in that whole mentality of I need an answer right now. Instant gratification.
No,
Going for Roger Goodell for sitting back and letting it happen.
I think what people want is some integrity from the league, and we've never had that.
Oh, that's horseshit.
Why is it horseshit?
The NFL is the greatest sports franchise in the world. There's nobody who does it better than the NFL.
So you're right.
And they make mistakes like everybody does.
In the world, they can do whatever they want. They don't have to.
No, they don't, Mike.
Oh, they don't?
I applaud them. I applaud them for taking a step back and saying, let's evaluate this before we come out with some knee-jerk reaction. Well,
I'm sorry, but they never gave an answer. They didn't give an answer. He came out, he lied, which is what he always does. Ray Rice was suspended for 2 games until a video came out a video they'd already seen, and then all of a sudden he's indefinitely suspended. So everything the NFL does is shady. Always has been.
Okay. All right. Shady. I don't think that everything the NFL does is shady. I think that they take calculated risk with everything. It's a marketing organization.
No,
they're marketing
not.
a product.
It's a big corporation.
And social media, we sit here and we rip. We're part of social media. It's what we're doing right now. And we're just lambasting somebody because we have our own frickin' opinions. And we are not in the offices with Goodell and his staff and his team, with the owners, with everybody saying, how do we manage these things that have happened to us that are not good? Let's try and minimize damage. That's what any corporation does.
No, wait a second. What you do when you wait a week and a half is you have more people talk. If you come out on Monday morning and give a statement that we screwed it up, the officials are human, it's part of the game, it would have been done with.
You know what? If I had $1 for every time I look back on my 60 years of life, and I wish I'd have kept my mouth shut and just not said anything and waited a while to speak, or just answered questions rather than just state my opinion.
But this is basically what he did a week and a half later, Steve. He came out and said
that's fine. There's plenty of time. There's no damage done. Here's the fact. Okay, let's go right to it. Let's start with the Saints. Okay, and you're gonna point out some things. We've already had this conversation on pre-production. No one play defines a football game. Rarely. Now, there are times when a big play occurs, and a big play occurred in the Saints-Rams game. All right? But rarely does one single play fully define a 60-minute football game. All right? Now, you're going to tell me about a field goal that was kicked. You're going to tell me about an interception that was made and a dumb play and a missed call. Those all happen. But you know what? There are 59 other minutes and 80 other offensive plays to overcome those difficulties. Mm-hmm. The game is not mechanical. It's not all predetermined. If you run this play, you will get this yardage. That doesn't happen. You take the human factor out of sports, and you just have made it mechanical. You've sterilized it. You've made it boring. You might as well play the freaking game on Xbox, on Madden 2019, and not even do it. They asked Goodell about bringing another referee, and he said, no. Why would we do that? It just adds another human person who can make a mistake. They're going to make mistakes. Fumbles are going to occur. Interceptions are going to happen. Missed calls are going to happen. Out here in L.A., I'm kind of getting into it now because the Rams are saying, hey, you know what? We got a break. They didn't get the break. We're going to the Super Bowl, and they're not. Move on.
They got a break?
Now, speak. Yeah, they got a break. They got a lucky call. It was a bad call. There's nobody in the world doesn't say it wasn't a bad call.
We're all right.
The NFL says it was a bad call.
So it's all right to have a game decided on a human error that can be prevented.
The game wasn't decided on that play, Mike. That's what you're hanging on.
That's not what I'm hanging on. What I'm hanging on is
That's what you're hanging on.
It is? All I know is this.
Yeah.
The Saints did
it's one
everything.
Play.
Okay. If you want, Steve, you
could
could just talk to yourself and I'll be quiet since you know every fucking thing and nobody else knows anything. So, I mean, if you want to sit here and prove that you're wrong by continuing to talk over me when I try to make a point, that's fine. But I can tell you this, the Saints did everything they had to do to get in position to win the game. That was taken away by a human error that could be corrected. We're not trying to correct the human errors of the players. We're trying to correct the human errors of men that are trying to ref a game that is going much faster than they can control. I mean, why would you not want to get the correct call in a game? I don't understand that.
Can I speak now?
I never interrupted you, and I was quiet after I said
that.
So obviously you can speak now.
Okay. Again, you're saying, so there's a differentiation between a human player who throws a pick, who fumbles a football, and a differentiation between a human referee who misses a call. That's a differentiation. That's a separation. I mean, don't players know the rules? I mean, they're human beings. They make mistakes.
Jesus. Officials should never be a part of a game. Officials don't practice all week. Most of the officials
No, they are
not
part of the
full-time.
game.
No, they're not. They are
Yeah,
people
they are.
that oversee the playing of the game. Nobody gives an official a Super Bowl ring. An official is there to enforce the rules. Now, when the rules are not enforced correctly, and you can fix that, why would you not fix that? It takes 2 minutes to fix that. I want the team that wins the game to win the game. Now, the Saints may have gotten that call. They may have had their field goal blocked and returned for a touchdown. But the flow of that game was this. There was 2 penalties. The NFL has admitted it. Hell, they fined the guy for the second penalty. Now, number one, how in the hell, if these officials make human errors, why are they still fining a player for helmet-to-helmet contact? If it's not a penalty in the game, how can you be fined for that? That's bullshit. It's contradictory. Because they're going back and looking at that 2 days later and imposing a fine. But you won't change the call of the game, which you could have done immediately at that time.
No, you couldn't have changed the call because the rules state you can't overrule a judgment call. So that you can't change the call.
I'm sorry, but you can change the call.
You can't change the call. It's not.
Okay.
It's not. It's in the
This
rules
is
of
the
NFL.
thing, Steve.
Helmet to helmet. I don't know if helmet to helmet. If you can just is helmet to helmet reviewable or not. I don't know that answer.
It is in college.
Is helmet to helmet?
I think it is. But
is it in the NFL?
It doesn't matter.
Well, okay, if you're going to argue,
it doesn't matter because I'm arguing
point.
this, Steve. In the CFL, you're allowed to challenge 2 calls like that.
We're not. This is the CFL. That's Nanook of the North.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely ignorant to say that because they've done it for the last 2 years and it has worked out
right.
great.
Well, then
the right call is made.
NFL,
the right team wins the game. It doesn't matter whether it's the NFL. The thing is this: there is a precedent for it. It has been done successfully elsewhere. Why would the NFL continue to do this like this? Because the thing is this: up there, that call would have been changed, the game would have continued, and whatever would have happened from there would have happened. There would have been no integrity of the game. Because right now what you got is you got a lot of conspiracy theorists that think, well, they want the Rams, they want the big LA market, so they let the call go. I don't think that's the case. I just think the officials are incompetent. They call playoff games different than they call regular season games, which right there is a tremendous problem. I mean, they let things go like the helmet-to-helmet contact and the pass interference that they don't let go in the regular season. Why would you let stuff go in the playoffs but not in the regular season?
Long pause. I can talk now. All right. Helmet-to-helmet, they have blown that call all year long. We have talked about this incessantly when we talked about CTE and helmet-to-helmet.
Games?
Mike, wait a minute. Now, you just said that they changed the call games
I made
differently.
a statement, and then you're not even addressing it. So, yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying to get there.
It.
I'm trying to
You're
get
not
there.
trying to get there. They call the games differently.
All right. If I sat there, as we've talked on our show before, if you look at helmet-to-helmet calls, I need to know if that's a reviewable call. Can you look that up? Google that real quick. If helmet-to-helmet is a reviewable call or not. Look it up while I'm talking.
I don't think it is.
Because you aren't listening
NFL,
to me anyway.
But,
because
you didn't listen to my question.
So look it up.
My question to you.
You say it's called differently?
Yeah.
How many times during the regular course of the season do we see Shaquan Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott,
Jesus, here we go.
The Rams
Tell me, show me one time.
Lower their helmet.
Tell me a time.
Stick their helmet
Tell me a time.
I can't name a specific time
Why
because I
not?
don't follow the games that closely. But I see offensive running backs lower their helmets into guys as they're plowing through the line, lower their head, and stick their helmets right into somebody's other face mask or helmet. It's like holding in the NFL. You could pretty much call helmet to helmet on pretty much 95% of the plays that happen in the NFL. So I need to know, is that a reviewable call or not? Let's just take that one off the table. Is it or not?
I don't.
I doubt that it's a reviewable call.
But it seems
I don't
like
think it is.
here. Yeah, but it should.
How many times have we talked about that? That why are they not calling the running backs who lower their helmets when they go through the line?
Because I don't see that happen that often. I really don't see it happen that often. I see guys lean forward
bullshit.
trying to get an extra yard.
Do you not? Oh, my God. Every time somebody goes in the line, the running back lowers his helmet. It's a natural instinct to lower your head and contract your body.
Okay, whatever. I know it's the same thing as smacking
Unless
a wide
Todd
receiver
Gurley
in the
and
head
leaping
with a
over
helmet.
players. Well, what do you mean? The running back's coming at you full force at a 4.3 40 time. He's coming at you full force with 230 pounds of muscle. He's on the offensive. He's lowering his helmet into a defensive player. That's the worst case of it all.
It is?
Other than the fact the receiver going over the middle.
That's absolutely stupid. So you're telling me that a wide receiver going up for a ball.
Receiver going over the middle and getting hit, and how the player got hit in the call that was missed in the game, that was definitely helmet. The defensive back for the Rams lowered his helmet, stuck it right into the Saints' helmet. That should have been the penalty right there. Screw the pass interference call. That's a judgment call. And I'll tell you what, if you watch that in real time, real quickly, one time, as the referee saw it.
Interference. I watched it real time when I watched the game. I watched the game.
It is. Yeah, it's easily interference when you watch it from 12 different angles from CBS cameras in slow-mo with commentary from idiot announcers that, it was a bad call. It was a missed call. No doubt. But to say the NFL has to change its entire culture over that play is stupid.
How's it change the culture? What's absolutely stupid is to think that a game should be decided by a 50-year-old man that's out there running around calling stuff.
Then just take the referees off the field, have people up in booths with instant replay with all the cameras that the TV shows put on, and let them officiate the game from a booth. And let them, and we'll take an already too long football game and turning it into a 5-hour game.
You're full of shit. Right there, you're full of shit. I've never heard you complain about a Notre Dame game taking too long.
I think any football game's too long.
Really?
3 hours.
Any football game's too long.
It's 60 minutes.
Yeah.
It's 60 minutes of football.
Okay. Yeah.
And it takes 3 hours
You got
to
other
play.
shit to do.
Well, yeah, we do have other shit to do, Mike.
What do you have to do on a Sunday, Steve?
Well, I got to go walk my dogs. I got to play golf. I got to go to the beach.
You're against.
I got to tend to my garden.
Extra 2 reviews.
Flowers.
An extra 2 reviews. An extra 2 reviews.
There's 2 reviews.
Would take
2 reviews, Mike. There's holding on every offensive play.
8.
There's holding on every offensive play.
I don't see what holding has to do with pass interference.
It's a judgment call, Mike. Now you're going to bring judgment calls into the factor. You're going to say judgment calls are good. Now we're going to review judgment calls. So what judgment calls do you want to review, Mike?
So you want to get rid of all? You want to get rid of all replay?
Yes, I think replay should be taken out of football.
And if you get rid of all replay, you change 4 or 5 Super Bowl results.
The game was doing fine for many years without instant replay.
It was not.
Oh, bullshit.
Okay. All I can tell you is this. 1977 and 79, who was in the Super Bowl, was changed because there was no replay.
Paul Brown, George Hallis, Vince Lombardi.
Wait a second.
They did not cry about instant replay.
Oh, they didn't? Because it wasn't possible. No. You didn't have all the camera angles. You couldn't have done it then. But I'll guarantee you this. You know what Paul Brown did do? Paul Brown is the first one to put a transmitter in a quarterback's helmet to be able to talk to him. Why would he do that? Because he didn't want the human error. He wanted to call the plays himself. Every coach you just brought up brought in an innovation to the NFL that was not there before they got there. So to sit here and say that these guys wouldn't have wanted this.
For the better of the game, not the fan. The innovations that those guys brought in were for the better of the game.
Yeah,
not
for
the better of the fan. Instant replay is for the fan. Idiots like you who want to bleed black and gold.
You're the only fucking idiot here because when I read this, I don't really care who won the game. But I really don't. I just think that when you get a call like that, it's disgusting. You know what? I've coached a lot of football games where stupid officials cost my team a game.
Jesus. And I've seen a lot of games where stupid coaches have cost teams games too.
Yeah. You know what? And that's all right.
Yeah. And to
tell you the truth, I've never seen a game.
Mike.
I've never seen a game that was decided by an official. I will give you that. But I don't see why we are letting officials basically screw shit up constantly with no consequences to the official.
They don't screw it
and
up
no
constantly.
fixing. Yeah, they do.
Make
They
occasionally
constantly
bad calls.
screw it up. You can't find me a football game where there's not at least 3 or 4 calls that are so atrocious.
And you
It's a
can
joke.
rarely find me a football game where there's not an interception or a fumble or a hold or an offside.
Once again, you cannot control
defensive...
that. You can control the incompetency.
You can't control the referee's vision of what he saw and how he judged it at that moment of inertia and impact.
All I can tell you is this.
You can't see it.
All I can tell you is
inertia
this.
and impact are
I
good
don't
words.
think the
Those
NFL.
are good words.
I don't think the NFL fixes a game, but you may have an official that does. This way, you stop that from happening. You may have an official that has money on the game. Oh, really? Why would you disagree? Why would you disagree with that? No, wait a second. Don't give me the mechanical shit. I just asked you a question, and like always, you ignored it. I mean, we already know.
What's your question?
We already know that officials have fixed games in the past. It's been proven. Tim Donaghy with the NBA. I don't trust this. Oh, it's not. You're right. You're right. You're right. They don't bet on the NFL. The NFL is not big on gambling. So that's never happened. No betting on the NFL.
I can't say it's never happened. Is there a case? Is there a case where an NFL referee's been brought to justice for fixing a game?
No.
Is there a case
they
in the
would
NFL?
Never do that. That would
okay,
be
then
covered
shut up. Then
that
shut up about it.
No. Why would I shut up about it? I mean, when you watch Super Bowl 40,
you're making a judgment call.
Super Bowl 40
you're wrong.
was a fixed game if you watch it. No, I'm not, because this is the thing. I just don't see. I don't see why you think NFL replay is a bad idea. It doesn't make the game a whole lot longer.
It takes away the human element of the game, Mike, in my opinion.
Well, nobody cares.
I think that adversity and error in judgment and error in execution are a part of the game.
This is the dumbest,
if you want to play the game on
thing
Madden,
I've ever heard.
You want to have a computer, make sure the route is run perfectly, make sure that the pass is delivered perfectly on Madden, where you click a button and it works, then go play the game on Madden. Go do it. But you know what? The humans, they get sprained ankles, they get tired, they get winded, they miss catches, they take their eyes off the ball, the ball slips out of their hands. And things happen in the human element of the game.
But this is
That's
the thing.
what makes the game compelling.
Most fans like you do not believe this. You don't believe this. You don't believe what you're saying right now.
I believe entirely what I'm saying.
No,
why am I arguing so passionately?
Because when calls are so bad, the first thing people think is this game is
fixed. I hate 3-point shots.
Okay, are you going to answer the question though? I mean, when people watch games and official errors happen, the first thing it does is it calls into the integrity of the game, correct?
Repeat the question.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
No,
if
go
you're
ahead.
Watching a game and you see horrible calls, the first thing you do is call in the integrity of the game, and you think the NFL has fixed it.
No, I don't think that.
You don't?
At all.
So do you just say that for fun?
No, I get emotional. Bad call.
Oh,
I freaking blew the call. I get emotional about it. But you know what? I move on to the next play. I say, Dad, and I bitch and piss and moan.
Gummit.
No, we're on the air, so I'm not going to use the Lord's name in vain or say what I was saying. I was sitting in front of my TV. Dag nabbit or dag gummit is fine to use on the air.
What are you?
Yeah, that's even better.
Bunny?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, pick on me again now. Right now, let's divert from the.
I'm not diverting from anything.
Yeah, no. The fact is, that is what the emotion. That's why I watch the football game, because it's emotional. Because, oh God, he fumbled. He threw an interception in the end zone. Why did you call that play, Pete Carroll? That's the stupidest thing you could have ever done in your life. You cost your team a Super Bowl. That's the emotion. That's the beauty and love of watching live sports happen as it goes. Humans make mistakes. Humans do things. They're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. You put it on a computer, you put it on instant replay, you're making it perfect. You might as well have championship wrestling, because that's all rigged and fixed. That's the outcome is determined before they ever step into the ring.
Yeah,
that's determined.
And
Let's
that's what
just do
people
that.
think about the NFL when you get constant
that's
bad
what people
calls.
want. then they should give up watching the NFL and go buy Madden 2019 and play the game.
No, I was just
and do it there on the computer because you got a reset button. I don't like this call. I'm going to reset it. Now I get to start the game over in my favor.
Why would you start it over?
Time.
You just replay it and get the call right.
Yeah, you replay it, you reset the play. They didn't get it right. We blew it. Yeah, that's part of the game.
Oh, okay.
Emotion, human error, and everything is so much a part of sports. That's why I played the game, because I never knew what the outcome was going to be until I executed.
Yeah, but
sometimes I executed and I got screwed on a call, and I had to move on. I didn't have time to say, you got to fix this call. You know what? In my lifetime of playing basketball, I have never, ever seen a coach vehemently argue with a referee, get a technical, and get the referee to change his mind. Coach,
Bobby Knight
that's a great
used to do it
argument.
all the time. Bobby Knight intimidated
and he never got
referees
the call
all the time. No, but he'd get the next call, and he'd get the calls the rest of the game.
Well, that's the emotional part of the game, right? He used his emotion. He moved on from that and said, let's go. The Saints had plenty of opportunity there after that play was missed to rectify the situation. They didn't capitalize. They didn't do it. So it's actually thundering here. That's great. I've not heard thunder in about a year and a half in California. That's amazing. I just heard thunder. That's cool. Knight used that opportunity when a bad call was made to his advantage. He didn't cry and whine about it and say, replay it. He said, okay,
that's because they didn't have replay.
I'm going to beat you up so badly.
You know that, right?
I'm going to make you feel.
You do realize
no, they
that,
didn't.
Right?
And the game was fun to play then.
Yeah.
You know what? We moved through a game in 2 hours. We went out to dinner with our family, went go with our girlfriends, went to party afterwards. We didn't sit there for 4 hours looking at 12 minutes of replay tape.
Do you realize that the average length of an NFL game in 1985 was 3 hours and 12 minutes? The average length of an NFL game this year was 3 hours and 4 minutes.
Okay, great. Super. It's an excruciating 3 hours and 4 minutes. Because half of it, a good part of it's spent on replaying calls. I mean, I say just leave the replay alone. If it's a black and white call and you want to review it. I'm fine. If this guy steps out of bounds or not, if he crosses the goal line or not, fine.
Why?
Anything that's a judgment call.
That's a judgment
because it's black
call.
and white, Mike. You either no, it's not a judgment call.
Yeah, it
no,
is.
there is a line defined.
Really?
How is it a judgment call?
Because
if I can show you
it's his judgment on whether the man crossed the line or not. So this is the thing. You totally lose the argument there because now you're saying that there should be instant replay.
No, I said if you're going to have it in, leave it like it is. I would do away with it, period.
Mm-hmm.
I just would do away with it, period.
Yeah.
But if they're going to leave it in, which they're not going to do away with it, that's not viable either because it's, there's your side, my side, and somewhere there's the middle. So the middle is going to be leave it alone. If it's a judgment call, you just take the referees, you take the human element out of the game. That's my opinion. If it's a black and white call, like did he get both feet down before he went out of bounds? Review that. If you want to keep replay in, I say just take it out. Referee makes a call, live with it. No. Move on.
Referees are stupid, though.
Well,
so
that's such an awful thing to say.
But they are.
They are human beings. They're
most times,
very competent.
Yeah, sure they are. They're very
They get 95% of the calls right. They blow up on one
How
or
could
two
they
calls.
do that? That you cannot make that comment after you just made the comment that there's a holding on every play. So how the hell could they be right 95% of the time if they're missing holding on every play?
I'm sure they're told not to call it because it would slow the game down beyond reproach.
Oh, okay. So they don't miss the calls; they just ignore them. Okay.
Well, I think that probably happens more than missing the calls. Is they ignore the calls because it's like we got to get this thing over with and move on to the second game of Sunday or whatever they've got to do, and they have a time frame they need to work within. And if I would guarantee you could probably find a offensive lineman holding on just about 90 to 95% of offensive plays that are run in the NFL. You probably could.
So they make calls except for when.
Do you disagree with that? You coach the offensive line for your high school team.
My offensive line does not hold. My offensive line has never held. Officials just call holding on guys. But
so you teach your team how not to grab a jersey.
No, I
your
teach
arms
my
underneath,
team
how to wrap
how
them around
to
the back.
hold and for nobody to see it.
Okay, there you go. My
And then
point
occasionally
exactly.
somebody will run away from my son and he'll get caught.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're holding up in here, and then all of a sudden this son of a buck goes away he shouldn't have. Next thing you know, you see my son, hold on to him like he
trying
just
to get his hand
lassoed
out
him.
of there. He's
Yeah, trying to get
away.
his hands out. All right,
Yeah,
what else do we want to talk about? What else do you want to talk about from Goodell's press conference before we get to Bobby?
Well, let's talk about Kaepernick. He made a statement about Kaepernick. He made a statement that hey, if a team wants to pick up Colin Kaepernick, if they think he's going to be an asset to the team, and that they're free to do that. Now, I think that was bullshit.
Yeah.
I think Kaepernick is blackballed from the NFL.
Yeah, there's no doubt he is, because this is the
No
thing.
doubt, yeah.
You got guys like Mark Sanchez and Matt Barkley who are still playing in the NFL. You can't tell me anybody believes they're better than Colin Kaepernick. And the thing is this.
Yeah.
I could buy this if NFL teams had brought Cap in to work out during 2018.
Work out, right.
But they didn't. They didn't bring him in to see what he had. They have no intention. They're basically kowtowing to the president, because he raised all kind of hell about it. And it's just the way it is, because a lot of these owners are friends with him, and I don't care who you're friends with, and I don't give two shits for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. It doesn't matter to me. But when I look at this, to not even look at working him out while you're letting guys play that are absolutely horrible, screams that they're blackballing him.
Oh, I agree 100%. I mean, it's whether they're kowtowing to the president, I think that probably is part of it, because I would guess most of the owners are probably very Republican because they're all billionaires.
Yeah, and you want to make sure you keep getting your tax breaks, because he can change
exactly. So, but I think there's a tremendous amount of collusion going on there among the owners, who have all said nobody will touch Kaepernick, because there are teams that could have used Kaepernick.
Well, yeah.
And now at this point, I don't know if he's viable anymore. Now he's been out of the game 2-3 years. I don't know how long. It's 2 or 3 years, I think.
Yeah, but he's still better than Mark Sanchez.
He's still, he's better than Mark Sanchez. Give you that. But that statement was so bullshit phony that in all the credibility I took from Goodell handling the missed call, he lost it all back to me right away with the Kaepernick thing. It's like, you're a puppet. You're an idiot puppet up here just speaking what the owners want you to say.
Yeah, that's why they pay him $40 million a year.
$60 million a year. $60 million, actually. I looked up his salary is over $60 million by the time incentives and all bonuses are kicked in. Still, it's a crap load of money for starting he started in the mailroom for the NFL. I mean, you give the guy credit. He worked his way up from the bottom to the top. But, he lost all credibility with me right there. Kaepernick has been blackballed from the NFL. He will never play in the NFL again. I doubt. I mean, unless they finally have some come to Jesus meeting where it's time now to let him back in after he's too old and he'll fail, because they'll finally let him back in when his skills have diminished enough that he won't succeed. It's almost like you think that's what they're waiting for. So they can shut everybody up and say, no, we let him back in. And he performed poorly when he came back in. But we're going to hold him out, the 6 most productive years of his life as a quarterback. We're going to keep him out of the game. And then we're going to let him back in. Then he'll fail, and we'll say, yeah, we told you so. He wasn't good. That's why nobody took him.
Yeah.
That's how they'll spin that crap. That's exactly how they'll spin that.
All right.
Mark my words, he'll dress in an NFL uniform again. After I just thought what I just said, I believe he'll dress, but it won't be for another 2 or 3 years.
I don't think he will.
And then Kaepernick hopefully rejects it and says, I'm done. I'm not coming back.
I don't think he ever plays
Nike's
again.
paying. No, Nike's paying him money. He's not hurting for money. Nike's taking care of him. To some degree, I don't know what the degree is. I don't know what his contract is, but I'm sure he's not going to be destitute and poor over this. But yeah, that was a snow job entirely. Okay, the other thing that we talked about in Goodell's comments was he talked about putting a team in England or London. Viable or not, Mike?
No, and he said it wasn't.
Not at this point.
Yeah, it's never viable. The only way that's viable
Yeah,
is if you put 4 teams over in Europe, so they didn't have to travel constantly like that. It's just stupid. It's the National Football League, not the International Football League. I don't even think they should be playing games in London.
yeah, but they've sold out. They pretty much sold out Wembley Stadium every time they've gone. Have they not? I mean,
I don't care.
Wembley
They
Stadium
should not be there. The Bengals are playing the Rams there next year, and it takes a home game away from Rams season ticket holders.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's wrong. It's just wrong.
And
I mean, they're the Los Angeles Rams, not the, the New England or the England Rams.
Yeah.
So
the Wembley Rams, or whatever.
Yeah.
Wembley or
Yeah,
the Buckingham Rams or whatever.
You
yeah,
should
the
not
Palace
expect
Rams.
these players. I mean, the NBA doesn't do it. They do it for the preseason. If you want to play a preseason game in London, I don't see a problem with that. I mean, the NBA does it. But to play a regular season game in the middle of a season is just stupid. I mean, they always talk about player safety. Let's actually worry about player safety for once. That's why they shouldn't have Thursday games. The game should be on Sunday or Monday. And the game should be in the United States. I don't think they should play a game in Mexico because you are taking... I mean, how many games have the Jacksonville Jaguars season ticket holders lost over the last 5 years? Because it seems like the Jaguars are always there. It's unfair to the fans. It's unfair to the players. It's just the NFL will probably want to put a team there. They'll put a team in China because they want to get paid. They don't care about the fans.
Well, then that's the other question because he spoke to the expanding market, and they're diving into China big time now. Again, I don't see the feasibility of doing any of that. I think that they need to go more with some kind of TV deal.
Well, I'm sure they've already got a TV deal there, but I think
I guess they do. Yeah, I don't know.
What you get to is
I'm sure they do.
In the end, they can do it. It's feasible for them to do it. They'll make a shitload of money doing it. But the thing is, it's not feasible for players and fans. Now, I'm sure they'll still try to do it because I don't think they care what the feasibility is for players and fans.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, no, the game's not suited for players and fans anymore. It's suited for television. The game's built for television. I mean, that's why instant replay happens.
The game has pretty much always been built for television.
Well, I mean, yes, yeah. But, I mean, and I don't know the history of when the first football game was televised and how often they had games. And, when Monday Night Football came in the early 70s or 1970, I think it was the first broadcast of Monday Night Football and the franchise it became. It definitely all sports now is built for television. I mean, that's what's demised NASCAR. It's what's hurt golf is everything's so readily available on TV anymore. You don't need to attend, and you lose the glamour, or glamour's not the right word, or the romance of going to a game and living the experience. You just sit on your couch on your big screen with your popcorn and your soft drink or your beverage of choice, and you watch the game. So, but when you can capitalize on markets like England, Europe, China, and you can do it through TV, great thing. Putting a team there, I agree with you entirely. It's detrimental to the players, detrimental to the home-based fans. Somebody loses the game. The question I have is, do the Rams have to pay for that game as a home game, even though it's been played in London, or do they only buy 15 season tickets?
They probably get paid for it. But the thing is this, you're losing one game on season tickets. That's not a big deal, though, to the NFL. I'm sure they make it. Yeah. I'm sure they make it profitable for the Rams to take their team over there. And
I'm sure
they make it
I'm sure they're charging.
Yeah, they'll make it profitable for the Bengals to go over there and play them.
I'm sure the Rams would get the bulk of the. It would probably be considered a home game to the Rams when they play the Bengals. So they get the gate. They're going to get the gate basically. I'm sure it's going to be divided.
I'm sure they probably get more than the gate, but.
And their travel expenses, I'm sure, are covered by the NFL.
The problem I have with it is this: if you go over,
I have problems with it too, Mike.
And
I'm on your camp
here. You got a team like the Chiefs, and the Chiefs give up a home game, and they got to go play the Raiders over there. I mean, just even the Bengals-Rams thing. I mean, the Bengals going on the West Coast is a rough thing. but it evens out when both teams have to go to London. So you lose your home field advantage for that game. Maybe the Bengals win that game where the Rams would normally win that game, and it changes who's in the playoffs in the end.
Right.
But
I think it happened to the Colts a couple of years ago. Did they not lose a game? They went over and lost a game they should have won. Was it against Jacksonville?
Oh, I don't think the Colts have ever, been in a game they should have won, but not in a long time. But, all right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring Bobby Sheridan in. You didn't have anything
bring
else
Bobby in.
Yeah, because I got a doctor's appointment too in like an hour. So.
Okay, good. Get your prostate checked again?
No, it was just the doctor wanted to see me because he'd never really seen anybody with as good of attitude and as happy as I am, so he wanted to make sure there was nothing wrong.
Mike, I'm going to close this thing out by saying my vote is to just do away with instant replay entirely. It's not going to happen. But I think to augment it and add on to it and put judgment calls into the process of refereeing and officiating is a huge mistake for the NFL to do. I think if you take the human element
all I know is this: the CFL did it, and everybody was against it, but now everybody's fine with it because now the right call is made. I want the right call made. Human error by players is fine, but when
here's how I'll sum it up.
Okay.
Go ahead and finish, and I'll sum it up after you finish. I apologize. No, finish your statement.
No, I'm not going to say shit now. You interrupted me. I'm upset with you. Go ahead and say what you got to say.
I just didn't want you to jump to Bobby before I got to make my final statement.
Well, make your final statement,
Mike, please.
Make it.
My final statement. Okay, my final statement is this, and you can rebuke this. I'm more enjoyable about the journey than I am the destination. I would rather see a good game. I don't care who wins, unless it's the Colts. I don't care. I just want to see a good game. And I understand that human error is part of making that game good because it frustrates you, it pisses you off, it drives your emotions. It's why you watch it. It's why we sit there as armchair quarterbacks and argue and we get emotional. And you take that stuff out of the game and you start sterilizing everything, the game becomes unemotional. And it's just like, well, yeah, on paper, Bobby Sheridan's right. His odds were right. They what Bobby Sheridan can't factor into all the things we're going to talk about from this point forward. He can't factor in the emotion. He can't factor in the human element. You can't put that into betting. And that's what screws him up when he screws up, which is not very often. But when it does, it makes for great theater. And I think if you take the theater out of sports, you're going to end up with what's happening to NASCAR. You get so much rules, paralysis by analysis. You get so many rules involved and so much lack of ability to deviate or make mistakes or capitalize or, the Rams capitalized on a big mistake and got themselves in the Super Bowl. Los Angeles thinks it's great. And Los Angeles is a bigger city than New Orleans. The people out here are thrilled to death. They don't think it's a bad call. It's a lucky call to them.
Yeah, and I will say this as my final statement.
That's the emotion that you take away from the game.
Hold on, as my final statement, I would say this. If it was the Colts, you would feel differently. You just would. You could sit there and say you wouldn't, but you would.
Yeah.
You would feel
differently. You're exactly right.
And this is the thing. This is what you have to take into effect.
That's the emotion involved.
You're not talking about the NFL. Yeah, and that emotion involved is this. As a coach, I always hated officials. They're all idiots. And I say that. And I completely believe that because they don't put in the work that we put in to get ready for a game. And to have somebody that doesn't put that work in decide the game, I think is absurd. Make them full-time. Make them practice referee it or whatever you do. Watching film 10 hours a day, that's fine. But as of right now, I think NFL officials, a lot of them are incompetent. Not all of them. But I think those ones that are incompetent, put it like this, officials will not be part of the game if you make the right call. And with this, the call should have been changed because it was the wrong call. It's not a play, it's a call, it's an opinion. Opinions can be wrong. We know that because we listen to you every day be wrong. And when you look at that, I mean, that's an opinion.
I'm laughing quietly.
That's an opinion. Because in the end, I don't have a problem with human error, destroying a game. I watched Jeremy Hill fumble the Bengal playoff win against the Steelers away. That wouldn't have been as bad as watching an official be out of position or stand there and look at something that was obviously in front of him. That Bengals-Steelers game, there's 4 or 5 calls in that game, in that playoff game, where the Bengals win if the call's just made. And for some reason, these guys are told not to make the same calls in the regular season that they do in the playoffs. And I understand it's the playoffs, let them play. But the problem is, if you let them play all year like that, you may have 2 entirely different teams in the playoffs. So I just think overall, NFL officiating, everybody could say how great it is. But it's not, because we don't seem to have in Major League Baseball or the NBA these constant horrible calls. And in Major League Baseball, if you would have had instant replay, it would have changed who won the 1985 World Series when Don Denkinger, calls the guy safe at first and he's out by 2 steps. And the problem with that is most people go to their graves thinking that game was fixed. I think it hurts the integrity of the game to not make sure the officials are getting this right. But
all right, now I just wrote a book. No. I can't stop here.
Yeah, you can, because I made my. Wait a second. You made your final statement. I made my final statement.
Counselor, I have the right to rebut.
You don't have a right to rebut on a final statement. You make your closing argument.
Yes, you can.
The other person makes it. No, not in my court, Steve. You're in my court. You're not in a court of law.
Well, okay. Well, you want to cut me off. But here's what I'm going to say: the call was missed. It should have been. The call should have been made right.
Yeah.
It was missed.
Yeah.
To go in and to change it and review it is almost as bad as missing the call.
Oh, sure it is.
Here's the deal, Mike. No, Mike. Here's the deal. Let me finish. Players and coaches are paid millions and millions of dollars to deal with adversity. All right. At that point in time, Peyton and Breeze should have dealt with adversity and said, "We got screwed. We have to move forward. We can't call this our
And they
failure."
did, and they failed. But that's not the point. You're missing the whole point. I understand that.
No,
I
get your point.
I don't think that
a lot of
call.
time to figure out
They didn't lose the game because of the call. But you cannot allow the call to stand when it is so egregious. It should have been reviewed. It should have been changed. There was 2 penalties on one play. One of them is a headshot, which is supposed to be a big deal. So my question is this. Why are they not reviewing the headshot?
I asked you that question. Is that a law? Rule they can do that? You haven't answered me that yet.
No, because when you look at the NFL rules, it's not really clear. No, it's not clear whether it is or not. The thing is this.
All right, well,
The thing is this. If you're worried about player safety, how can you not review a call like that? Because this is the thing. We've seen guys get penalized for those calls before where they didn't even hit them with their helmet.
I agree on the helmet, Mike.
I don't mind watching an extra 10 minutes to get the game right. I mean, I watch football all Sunday. Another 20 minutes added to today is not a big deal.
I agree with you on that, too.
But,
you're right. I agree with you entirely.
We have to agree that
the bad call was made,
and then we're going to move on to Bobby.
You need to move on. No, you're right on parts of it, but the call was made. Let it go. Move forward. Deal with adversity.
Yeah.
Go on.
All right. It's one thing when it's self-imposed adversity. It's another thing it was imposed by a guy who is just a referee. All right, next up, we're going to go to Bobby Sheridan from the Sheridan Report. We'll get to him after this message from the Neutral Corner.
There you
Hello,
go.
boxing fans. I'm Michael Montero of Montero on Boxing. You may have read my work in Boxing Monthly Magazine, Ring Magazine, or their associated websites, maybe Undisputed Champion Network, maybe you've heard my segments on NBC Sports Radio, or any of the other platforms where I do work regularly. I wanted to invite you to check out my podcast, The Neutral Corner. We upload it every Monday. It's available on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, and of course at thegruelingtruth.net. Every week we go over the news, the rumors, the latest fights being put together. We analyze everything, give you the business behind the business, and then we review all the action that took place in the ring during the prior week around the world. Not just the big popular fights, but all the fights, including the little guys. And then, of course, we preview the action coming up this week. Again, Michael Montero, The Neutral Corner, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, and thegruelingtruth.net.
All right, guys, welcome back to Survive in Advance with Mike Goodpaster and Steve Risley, and now Bobby Sheridan from the Sheridan Report. How you doing, Bobby?
Mike, I'm doing good. Is everybody good there?
Yeah, we're great. I mean, Steve just got destroyed in a debate, so it was fun.
Well, I know there's a disappointment losing out on your guest, but you guys do such a good job on talking about whatever it was you talked about, and I'm sure it's still a great
Shut
show.
up, Bobby. Shut up, Bobby. You've
Well,
been sitting there tweeting crap out about how wonderful Mike is. You got an A- on his. He was spot on yesterday.
Because I destroyed you at the IU show last night, Steve. You know
Bobby,
I did.
You've
this is the
lost all
thing.
credibility
If
with
you
me.
listen to the
Bobby,
IU basketball show last
see,
night, Bobby,
there you go.
if you remember, at the start of the show, Steve says, I'm not even talking unless you ask me a question. And by the time we're
That's
20
right.
minutes in, I was so right that Steve's writing down questions to ask me. Am I right there, Bobby?
Well, I think to a degree, but
It's
one
not
thing
to
I
a
wanna
degree,
say,
Bobby. It's just
this
right.
is
Don't
not-
kiss Risley's ass.
No. This is I want to say something because sometimes through texting or that type of communication, it doesn't always come out the right way, and this is not backpedaling, but for a guy like Steve in his position doing that part of the job, which would be the Indiana, post game on a bad season, it's much different for him than it is anybody else, any of us that are speaking, because he lived the culture. He knows it. He understands it. He lived it. He sweated it. And the bottom line is for a guy like him to come up with analysis on what's going on in this situation right now, he's coming from a completely different understanding of it, level of it, appreciation of it, passion for it. And that's the thing, and it's a tough place for him to be in because he bleeds it. And nobody else, none of us can understand that. And I really mean that, Steve. And I didn't want it to have it come out like you were wrong on anything. But
Frickin'
Mike,
Bobby Sheridan. Bobby Sheridan's going to run for governor of California next term. Nice job, Bobby.
No.
Hey, by the way, Mike, he only gave you an A-. Jesus Christ, I'd be pissed about that. I thought you actually did pretty good yesterday, but I would have given you an A, but he only gave you an A-.
Is this Bobby
Jesus,
kissing
Sheridan.
ass?
Mike was
Just stick to picking do what you do best. Pick the games. Don't give your opinion. Just pick the games, which
All
is
right.
great. Where people should be spending their money with you, not listening to your damn opinion of anything.
All right. That's fair enough. That is fair enough. Stay in your lane.
And don't ever attack me on Twitter because I can be vicious on Twitter.
No, he can't. Nobody follows Steve on Twitter, so it's not that big a deal.
I got 12 followers.
All right.
Mike, I gotta be honest with you though. I've always respected you, and it's clear that you are very knowledgeable on sports and you do a good job.
What are you talking about now? Me or Goodpaster?
Me.
No,
So
we're
shut
talking
up
about
and be
now.
quiet, Steve.
No, talking about Mike, and that's not kissing butt or anything. But
Oh,
last
God,
night,
that's kissing
listening
ass.
to him speak, that was punch nailed that thing, Mike. And I wasn't going to comment at all, but I mean, it almost forced me to because you did such a good job. And I know in Indiana basketball, there's so many of these podcasts and people talking and having their opinion, and I don't think anybody could have had a better opinion than him last night.
Bobby,
Anyway.
Bobby, do you know what? You
What?
know why and how Mike's gotten smart?
Oh, jeez.
Because he's been doing the
Hanging
show with
around
me
you?
for over a year
Well,
now.
yeah,
Right,
that's what it
exactly.
is. That's
yeah,
what it is.
until then,
Yeah.
he brings me on the show one time as a guest. Then he's like, "Oh my God, you want to do a regular show with me?"
No, I
I'm like,
didn't.
yeah, sure. What the hell?
You know how this
And then- oh, that's
conversation
not how
went,
it
Bobby?
happened?
Bobby, I
That's
called
not
him
how it
back
happened?
after we did the show, and I said, I was thinking about doing an IU basketball show. You want to do it with me? He said, sure. Sounds like fun. And that's how we did
Yeah.
it.
And then I educated him, and then now
Yeah.
look, now idiots
Yeah.
like you, Sheridan, who are great at picking sports books. I'm not going to ever challenge you on that, but giving your opinion on sports, stop it. Just stop that right there. But we made Goodpaster
all right.
a solid, good, knowledgeable Indiana
Whatever.
Basketball person now.
Whatever.
And he delivers great information. He was good last night. I give him credit. I was pissed. I didn't want to spill my beans because really I don't want to beat this team up. I don't want to beat this coach up, but I'm pissed off at what they're doing and how they're reacting and how they're not responding. But
Yes.
you
right.
better just ask me a question. I'll
So,
give you an answer.
Bobby?
That being said, Bobby,
What
move
are the
on.
top
I
plays
understand
tonight?
it. All
Top
right.
plays
Be
tonight,
very careful
Bobby.
what you say from. Be very careful what you say from here on out, Bobby, because you're under attack right now.
Oh, jeez.
I know that.
Don't worry, Bobby. I'll defend
Today's
you, and I always make him look like a fool. So go ahead, Bobby. Your top
And
plays
he
for
does.
the week.
And he
or
does.
tonight.
He's exactly right. He does.
That's good stuff. No, well, we go to tonight, and hey, we're going to turn it around right now because your state needs a winner, and I'm going to give you one right now. The Pacers are going to win tonight, and they're getting a couple points at Orlando. And you want to talk about leadership from what's going on in the other situation. Nick McMillan comes out and he just says, look, we've won 7 games without Oladipo this year. It's not really about Oladipo, and he's not coming back. It's about our energy and our defense. They gave up 52% yesterday to Washington. And I had Washington. That was on the report. We didn't talk about it, but we were 2-2, and that was one of the 2 wins. But they gave up 52% shooting, and that's not how Indiana's going to ride the rest of this thing out. They're going to ride it out with a little bit of depth, which has been hit with Evans out, who might be back tonight, and, of course, Oladipo. But it's going to be their defense, and we're going to have to look for spots where they match up. And they match up really well with Orlando tonight. And what a good coach McMillan is. But Orlando is strong on the front court, and they're really weak in the backcourt, and that's where Indiana is going to be able to match up really well with them. Indiana's front court, their 4 main guys that they're playing are really doing a good job, and that's Young and Bogdanovich and Turner and Sabonis, and those guys are going to be able to at least neutralize Orlando's strength, which is Gordon and Fournier and Vucevic. So that's going to be a wash, and they're going to win it with their defense and the fact that, okay, we got some numbers working tonight. Indiana, now this is something probably most people wouldn't know that don't do what I do for a job. And Indiana is 7-2 against the spread in the second of back-to-back games this year. They played 9 times, and they've covered 7 on the back-to-back. So they really bring the defense on the second night. And it's their culture. You want to talk about culture, that's what their culture. That's what McMillan has brought, and good principles. And even the coach of Orlando, Clifford, he acknowledged that in his presser, pre-leading to this game. He said, Indiana starts a very good defensive team. They're long and they have good fundamentals, and when they substitute, they don't really drop off on defense. So what a compliment. And then Orlando, they lead the league in close games. They've played 30 games this year that have been within 5 points at some point in the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. And they're 13-17 in those games. So close game tonight, don't worry, Pacer fans. And then last but not least, Orlando has a tough time covering the point spread at home. They're 2-7 as a home favorite, which is what they are tonight. So there's a lot of good things for the Pacers. Don't fret. We'll get things going back again right. So we like the Pacers plus 2.5. It's down a half point, and that's good, smart money that's come in. And I have part of that tonight.
Question, Bobby. Are the Pacers pretty well done for the year now?
No.
They're done.
No, they're not
They're
done.
done.
They're still going to make the
really,
playoffs.
They're going to make playoffs.
Oh, they'll
they're
make
not a factor anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what
they're not a factor.
No, they're not a factor,
Yeah.
and that's why it's not really. They may go out and get somebody to help them in their backcourt, which they really need right now. And we mentioned Conley, but I just don't know what it would take and what they would have to give up, and for no reason, because they're not going to the finals. So it's just kind of a reload, and let's try to hang on to this thing, and they will, because they're a good organization, and they'll they'll hang on, and these are the kind of wins that they're going to need.
All right.
They'll get their Rutgers win tonight. This is their Rutgers win tonight. You know, they got to win this game.
I'm dealing with our good friend Lucas Weiss, who's at Atlanta right now, tweeting me pictures of the Super Bowl. He's down in the stadium. He's mouthing off, sending all kinds of cute pictures of the stadium. He's down there living life large.
You know how to shut that up,
Mike?
Steve?
You know
You know how to shut that up?
How do you shut him up?
Take a picture of your balls and send it to him.
Oh, that's not good.
It worked for
That's
Brett
not
Favre.
good.
That didn't work for Brett.
You know, Lucas is. See, Bobby, this is what you got to look at. Lucas is a guy who, when we started working with us,
Are you
was
paying
doing
Lucas?
nothing.
Or is Lucas paying you to talk about him right now since he's irrelevant right
No,
now?
I love Lucas. Lucas is a genuinely good guy. But, Bobby, this is where you're going to go. He went from doing nothing. We were actually going to have him cover the Iditarod for us.
No,
and now he's sitting in a
Steve
suite
thought the Iditarod
at
was in
Mercedes-Benz
Canada.
Stadium in Atlanta. I did think it was in Canada. I thought, what the hell? I mean, but so I'm wrong. It's in Alaska. I got that wrong.
He's got a
I
good
figured it
gig.
out.
He was in Torrey. He was down the street from us last week, Steve. He was in Torrey Pines.
Yeah, he was in San Diego at Torrey Pines. I think he's coming to L.A. maybe. He was in Atlanta last year for the Tour Championships. And now he's sitting there texting me pictures of the Super Bowl. Lucas, if you're listening, kiss my ass. We made you what you are. So, Bobby, be nice to us. So you're
What
the
else
next
you got,
one.
Bobby?
I will.
Mike and I
No
are
doubt about
kingmakers.
What else you got, Bobby?
Hey, well, we got something else I wanted to talk about today. The report. Before I do that, though, the report has 5 plays tonight. That's one of the 2 top plays that I gave out there to the listeners. And tonight, should be a pretty strong night. There's a couple of these games that are very solid plays. So, and then also I wanted to talk a little bit about, Steve, if we can get a little bit about the PGA tournament. But I wanted to talk about, I think you're alluding to the on this day, and I just wanted to spend a couple minutes on this topic. This is the anniversary today where UCLA beat Kentucky in the 1975 championship, and 10th in 12 years. And
wait a second, Bobby. That has to be.
Wait, what am I?
This is January.
Oh, what's going on? Did I misread that? There was something that came up about UCLA victory. It's correct. It's only January. It can't be. It must have been a mistake.
All right, we can talk about it anyway if you want. It doesn't matter.
Well, no.
See, Bobby, here's the deal. You give Bobby, you give him an A-.
Yeah.
I was going to let it slide because
Yeah.
I wasn't going to trash you on the radio because reputation is important. So I was going to just let it go and figured, most of the, people won't pick up on this. But there's Goodpaster, your A- guy, calling you out on it, and now trying to trash your credibility.
I didn't call him out or trash his credibility. I just said
Bobby,
that
here's the deal. If you listen to the beginning of our show, like referees, booking guys, sports bet guys, they make mistakes occasionally. They're
What are you
human.
talking about?
All right?
Idiots.
But Mike wants
Idiots.
to replay. Mike wants to give you instant replay right now.
You can
so
still
go
talk
do it.
about
He wants-
UCLA and Kentucky, Bobby.
wants
It's
to-
not your fault.
he wants
that the
to
internet
wind
gave you
back.
bad information.
He wants to wind back down and give you instant replay. I say, you know what, Bobby? You got some adversity here right now. Deal with it and live with it. Move forward.
I love that.
As a referee would
That's
do,
correct.
and as a Saint should have done.
Yes, sir. I agree
Go
on
ahead,
that one
Bobby.
too. But no, there must have been a miss thing there when I get my information. But I wasn't smart enough to not include it.
I saw it earlier, and I wasn't smart enough to realize it. It was just I was sitting here, and I'm looking at it, and then I look at the bottom of my computer, and it says January 31st, and I'm like, that's not possible.
Yeah, it's not possible. But yeah, let's just skip it then. But I was going to allude right into the that played into the 75, up into the 76 season, and Scott May's injury. That would have been Indiana's title that year, and everybody knows that. But that's what I was going to allude into to make everybody feel a little better about Indiana. But that was on some of the places I go to research that was on there, and it was a mistake. So,
Hey, Bobby, I'm sure Mike, if you listen to the beginning of our show, Mike will tell you that somewhere a referee blew the call that got Scott May's arm broken that caused Indiana to lose the championship, and that should have probably been replayed too.
No, I'm sure.
And we should have fixed
But
his
this
arm.
is the thing. Do you think the Scott May injury cost IU the national championship that year, Steve?
No, I don't think it did. I think Kentucky outplayed Indiana.
Really?
I think what cost them the championship.
I think Bobby Knight got out.
Hang on. Whoa. What cost him a championship was Knight playing Scott May.
Exactly.
Scott May should have sat on the bench with a broken arm and not played.
Exactly.
So Knight cost him that championship by playing May. He should have went to somebody else and said, Laskowski, step up. You know, I don't need you to be the super sub 6-man right now. You got to be a starter. Scott's injured. And if we can run Scott in for a couple minutes and distract him, but to start Scott May to play him with a broken arm was what cost Indiana the championship in 75.
Well, that and the fact that they played no
broken
defense
arm.
against Kentucky also.
Right. 92-90 was the score. Right.
Yeah.
When's the last time Bob Knight team got beat 92-90? So Knight cost him that game, not Scott May's broken arm.
Exactly.
Well, Steve, but you know, to defend Knight for a second, comment on this. That moment there came just shortly after the Willis Reed Knicks thing. And do you think that was going on in Coach Knight's mind a little bit, the lift that it would give him taking the court?
Willis Reed Knicks thing was in 1970, wasn't it? And that when Willis Reed played?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 5 years
this,
ago.
Though, as a coach,
Just
if
before,
your best player
Bobby,
is
really? Are you smoking pot out here,
years?
marijuana?
5 years?
Legally?
Well,
see,
no,
that's why I
mean,
got an A
it's
minus.
the same era.
Yeah,
It's
you
in
know,
the
A
same era. I mean, it happened around the
two
same
different
time.
sports.
I understand
Not
what
even
you're
close.
saying, Bobby. He's just being an asshole again. Don't worry about
you know,
like that.
go back more to who was the one that did the Olympics with the broken leg? Was that who was the guy on the gymnast in '76 Olympics or whatever that did the Olympics with his broken leg?
I remember Kerry Strug in 1996 on a broken leg. I don't remember.
Yeah. I mean, you know, find something more relevant than Willis Reed playing with a busted knee in 1970 against the Lakers.
Well, I think what it is
helping
this:
the team
when your
win a
best player
championship.
is injured and he says
Coach
he can
Knight
play,
were here, right?
you play him.
Knight made a mistake. It's one of the few mistakes Bob Knight's ever made. He should have never played Scott May. They probably would have won if they not played him. Hindsight's always 20/20. I get that, but you know, an emotion is part of the game, which is why you don't have instant replay. Instant replay says you bench Scott May, you put in John Laskowski, and the team probably wins the game. Indiana beats Kentucky, wins back-to-back undefeated national championships.
But Steve, we haven't brought up the point that Bobby Knight himself said was the reason they lost the game. He blames it on himself, but it wasn't for playing Scott May. It was for breaking up Wilkerson and Buckner. The way he played, the way he broke up those two guards, he put one of them forward. Is that correct? He put Wilkerson at forward.
Steve has no clue.
This is what I heard Bobby Knight say. He broke up Wilkerson and Buckner.
There's the lack of knowledge of everything right there. I mean, Knight can but the fact is we ran a motion offense. People ask me what position did I play at IU. I played guard. What position? I played guard, forward, and center. What position you played at IU, Risley? I played guard, forward, and center. It was a motion offense. Sometimes I was on the perimeter. Sometimes I was in the post.
I think what
sometimes
Knight
I was on the wing.
I think what Knight was talking about there was defensively.
Yeah, defensively, because I know that he made that quote.
Bobby Wilkerson was one of the greatest defensive players that ever played at IU. Yeah. I mean, he was 6'7" and played like 6 foot. He had the speed and agility of any 6-foot player, but had the wingspan of a 6'10" guy. And you took a guy like Bobby Wilkerson, he said, "Nah, Magic Johnson, Wilk, you got him. Just shut him down. You know, don't worry about it. And Buckner, you're the captain of this team. Run the offense. It doesn't matter where you play." That was the beauty of Bob Knight and the motion offense and man-to-man defense. I never was a forward. I never was a guard. I never was a center. I always was a forward. I always was a guard. I always was a center. I was a player on a motion offense and a man-to-man defense. I did what I had to do to win. I was a role player. That's how Knight won championships.
Well, you know what? I think that speech right there needs to go into the locker room 2018 because that's what you're not seeing.
They don't run the same offense.
Well, you know what, Bobby? You know, here's the deal. Most of us aren't welcome in that locker room, and that's the downside of IU basketball. They don't want us there. They really don't want us there. They don't. They don't want to deal with the Knight era. They want to bury it, yet they don't look back and say they want to look at. They want to get rid of the Knight mentality, but they don't want to look at the Knight success and say, you know what, this worked then. Why will it not work now? Why will it not work now? Man-to-man defense works. Motion offense works. You have to run it precisely. You have to run it efficiently. We had one offense, one defense. That's what Indiana did. We were great at it. Other teams were good at what they did. We were great at two things. And nobody could beat us because we were great at what we did. And that's why the Bob Knight era from 76, 75 to 87 was so great, because they were so damn good at two basic things, nobody could figure out how to beat them at it. That's why they won. It's as simple as that. And you take all these idiot coaches now that want to go in and create these massive, complex offensive schemes, defensive sets. You know what? Just go back and play man-to-man defense. Get your guys to get in passing lanes, get them to deny passes, help out, cut off the ball, stop the ball going to the bucket, pressure the perimeter shots. Now you have three-pointers. Set good screens, roll off the screens, dribble, drive, penetration. You're going to win 95% of the games you play, because you're just going to beat teams by just being better at what you do. It's not overcomplicated. But we have to pay Archie Miller $5 million a year to come in with some complex offense, some complex defense, and he's getting his ass handed to him right now. With talent, he should be winning with.
Bobby, you got anything else? I'm getting bored with this topic.
All right, I'm done.
Well, yeah.
We talked about it last night. I'm tired of talking about IU.
No.
I know. You're right, Mike. You're exactly right, Mike. I'm reliving last night again, and I apologize to Bobby and to Mike. My bad.
Oh, no. I love it.
It's Bobby.
It's all great.
Bobby's fault.
The part I love is that when we talk about the old stuff. I mean, that's what I
almost
want
choked to death there.
Darn it! I mean, that's what I fell in love with. Was the old Indiana stuff. So anytime we can talk about it, it's good with
we
me.
need to start winning more.
That's
games.
why I say you need to. That's why you need to take instant replay out of football. Go back to the days when we made bad calls, we dealt with bad calls, we moved on from bad calls, and we readjusted what we needed to do. Don't start putting more shit in to the football game to make it more mechanical and less emotional. That's why you play sports, because it's emotional. And you put more shit in. Now you're going to review judgment calls. Let's just make it more mechanical. I'm done with that.
Okay.
I'll hate
Bobby,
sports
anything else?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the tournament starting today. I watched a tiny bit of it. I didn't have the time that I wanted, but the matchups that I like are coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. This is Pacific time, so there's still time, and I'm going to give those matchups. Let's see how they go today. I like Matsuyama. He's minus a half stroke over Woodland. Snedeker, straight up over Zach Johnson, and Schauffele is plus a half stroke over Rahm, and those are all going in the 11 o'clock hour. And I think that those all have a really good chance to come through, and that's what I'm going to be doing when we get off, Steve. I'm going to watch.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now. I've got it on right now. Actually, I've got it on right now. Matsuyama plays well on this course. He's done well in this tournament, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's 2 times he's been right there.
2-time winner, yeah.
Yeah, 2-time winner. So it's a
course suited for him.
I felt that way, and a course suited for him, and I think maybe he can focus amidst all the chaos going on too. Like you talked about, and Snedeker, talk about a guy that guy is capable at any time, at any point of shooting huge, and I really believe he'll be ready for this.
And he's not rattled. Snedeker's not rattled. Yeah.
No, not rattled. And Schauffele, other than you did what you said yesterday, made me think a little bit, but it was a little bit too late for my selection. But he's sitting on a win. He's going to win a couple tournaments this year on the tour. I really believe that. So he's kind of a pick to click for me this year. So
who's Schauffele?
Schauffele, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good player.
So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. But this is definitely a tournament that's not unlike other guys like Tiger, who need to focus and they want to place blame everywhere else. And Nicklaus was great at that. Nicklaus always said he never blamed himself for a bad shot. It was always his equipment or some fan. Nicklaus was a master, and he's always talked about that. And his success in golf was he never blamed himself for a bad shot. And he said the minute you do that, you start downing your confidence.
You start downing your confidence, well.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, God, I screwed up. And Nicklaus said, I always looked at it and said, the grips weren't dry enough. The offset on the club was wrong. I made the wrong choice on club, but he said he never blamed himself for a bad shot. And that's just a mental thing that these great golfers go through and understand is that, you can't, because golf is such a 90% mental game, you cannot take your confidence out of the mix because it's so mental that the only thing you have is your confidence that you can execute.
Yeah.
All right,
Think about
guys.
it, Bobby.
Very,
Golf. Hang
very
on.
true.
Golf is one of the
can't
few.
hang on.
Golf is one of the few sports. Golf is one of the few sports where you play where the ball is stationary at address. Think about it. Not many games you play is the ball stationary when you address it. I mean, it's not moving.
Well, that's very true. I mean, look at any other
Yeah,
sport.
it's sitting there. Yeah. Badminton,
Crazy.
horseshoes, football, baseball, the ball's moving. Basketball, the ball's moving. Golf, the ball's sitting there right there saying, just hit me, and hit me well. I'm not going to be a part of this. I'm going to react to how you address me. It's one of the few sports where that happens.
It's very true.
Yeah, I better get an A+ for
Very true.
today's comments. Yeah, I better get a tweet today say Risley was A+ today.
Whatever.
Mike,
Well,
you want
it's
to wrap
pretty
it up?
evident that you are. Pretty
Tomorrow.
evident. That's how Hoosier rebounds, buddy. That's how Hoosier comes back out for a loss.
Tomorrow,
You wouldn't
Friday, and I'll tell you what, if you've watched Indiana basketball, they don't rebound. But tomorrow,
No.
we will have our
We
Friday
didn't address,
Super Bowl
Mike.
week
We didn't
show.
address that last night. We didn't address that last night. Mike, they got killed on the board.
Yeah,
last
we
night.
did address it. That
They
was the
got-
first thing I addressed with
Did we?
Cole, 45-32.
Yeah, I know you brought it up.
Um,
Yeah, but I don't know if we
yeah.
ever said they got. You said the one bad thing. There was the one. I know you said the
That
one
was the
bad thing they
glaring
did
error.
terrible. It was a glaring error. Yeah, it was a glaring error. It was they got killed on the boards.
But-
Yeah.
All right,
Anyway,
tomorrow,
go
Rocky
on.
Blyer will be with us. Bobby Sheridan after Rocky Blyer, so I guess Rocky's the co-main event. Bobby's the main event. Make sure you check out the Sheridan Report. Make sure you go to @GruelingTruth on Twitter. Check us out there. You can hear all of
Mike,
our
can I ask you
shows
a question?
on-
Mike, can I ask
What?
a question? Can I ask
What?
a question? Bobby, what's your record now with us?
On air, I think it's 18-5.
No,
We were
why am I not
we were
betting
2
with
and-
you?
We were 2-2 on the report yesterday, but we were on air 18-5.
Guys,
I don't know.
if you're listening, your sports book is going to become part of your daily life here shortly. You better get on to the Sheridan Report, and you better start following Bobby. Because 18-5, you're going to be making some money. And you're going to make your wife
No
very
doubt.
happy.
All right,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Thank you,
Bobby.
Steve. No, you can follow. He said to follow me. Where you can follow me is @Sheridan Report. That's where I'm at on Twitter. Always updating things every day and putting little stuff on there and giving out free plays. We gave out Sacramento yesterday as a free play, and that was a winner. And the free play itself is hitting in the 60s. So, it's not one of the stronger plays, but any play we put out is worth noting because there's 40, 50, 60 games a day, and we put out 3 or 4 of them. So it's not bad.
All right, guys. So make sure you check
Pretty,
out
it's
the
not
Sheridan
bad.
Report.
It's pretty damn good is what it is. It's not bad. It's pretty damn good. I mean, I would give you an A, not an A-. I'd give Goodpaster an A-, but I would give you an A.
Appreciate that, Steve.
I'd give me an A+.
But, all right,
Go ahead.
guys. Make sure you listen to us on iHeart, Spotify, iTunes, everywhere else you can find sports podcasts. You'll find The Grueling Truth. So, for Bobby Sheridan, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.